Hi everyone, it's January and we're out in the garden today, so I wanted to show you around. The first thing you're gonna see is that we finished phase 2 of the deck. So hopefully you were able to catch our recap video, but we are really loving how it opens up the space. And the view to the garden, we are just really enjoying standing here at night, looking down below, seeing the lights, and just seeing the beauty of the garden down below. Now stay tuned, because coming soon, we're going to be starting phase 3, which is the Smart Pots deck. Now, as Jerry mentioned in the video, there are some challenges with this area. The main thing being the trees. So we are going to be removing some of the trees, but are really looking forward to more growing space. I like to call this my little kitchen garden, and it just steps outside my back door. I come out here frequently, daily, in fact, almost with every meal, and harvest things from the Smart Pots here. So we've got a lot going on here. Since it's cooler weather here in the wintertime, the greens are going crazy in the garden, and I'm picking the kale from Little Shorty almost every single day for our smoothies. These little bunching onions are going in our salads almost daily, and the calendulas here on the edge are doing a great job keeping the bugs away, and the peas here are just starting to climb up this little trellis here. So really looking forward to more harvest of peas coming soon. Now, we love to grow in Smart Pots, love to grow in containers, and I really like to utilize vertical gardening, so I get the most out of my space here on the deck rails with the little 5 gallons and up trellises. So definitely, if you have a limited space, I highly encourage you to do vertical gardening. You'll really be able to grow a lot in your small space. One thing that's very exciting this winter is we're still getting tomatoes. I planted some tomatoes late in the season. Little tiny Tims are in my newly updated container garden seed collection. And wow, they are such a little powerhouse of a tomato, still pumping out the tomatoes late in the season. Now, because it is colder here in the wintertime in Southern California, we don't get near as many tomatoes. But let me just show you right over here that we still are getting tomatoes, which is super exciting, even from larger plants. Now, these were planted in August, and they are cold-tolerant tomatoes. The variety is Stupis, I believe it's called, and I think this one's called a Siberian or something like that. But you can see here, there's quite a few little tomatoes coming on, and definitely been harvesting these every couple of days for salad. So we're really enjoying that fresh tomato flavor, even in the wintertime. Another thing that's been really fun in the wintertime is the lemon tree here. We've actually gotten a few lemons off it lately, which we've been having in our beverages. Usually I harvest them a little bit later, but we've got an early harvest this year, so you really can't go wrong with that. And these are in 30-gallon Smart Pots, and definitely can grow citrus in containers. Now, if you live in a cold winter area, it's a good idea to bring your citrus trees inside during the winter time so they don't freeze. So in that case, you might want to consider growing dwarf citrus so they'll fit inside your house. Now, this is my little potting bench here, and it is kind of a little holding area for some greens. These were growing inside for probably 6 weeks or so, and I up-potted them into, here we go, into one of my CaliKim 1 gallons, because I am kind of getting ready to clear out one garden bed and replant with some fresh new greens. So definitely get some greens growing inside, especially if you're in a no frost or frost-free zone area, and you can pop them outside as soon as they're ready. So the little cabbages, I'm waiting for them to get just a little bit bigger before I plant them outside. Now, I do like to utilize every little tiny space that I can. And we planted some arugula along the fence here. You might remember that video. It's popping up, but doesn't get a lot of sun. So just hang in there, be patient. If your garden doesn't get a lot of sun, pretty soon things will start to burst into life. And hopefully we'll be harvesting arugula from here very soon. In January in Southern California, or in a mild winter climate, it's a great time to grow your cool weather greens. So I packed this garden area full of lots of different types of greens, got some lettuces in the red planters and kale, and then spilling over the sides are one of my favorites, the nasturtiums. Now, did you know that every single part of the nasturtium plant is edible? The leaves, the seeds, as well as the flowers. Now, we don't have a ton of flowers yet, but as the days get longer, this will turn into a beautiful swath of nasturtiums, and we love to pick the flowers, put them on our garden fresh pizzas and on our salads. Now, the other thing I did in this area was to plant for the pollinators. Some shade-tolerant wildflower seed, laid them down here because this area doesn't get a lot of sun in the wintertime. But as the days get longer, the flowers will start popping up, and the pollinators will start coming to this area in droves. And by the way, did you know that nasturtiums as well as calendulas make great companion plants because they help deter pests? They not only have a strong scent that the pests don't like, but they also can act as trap crops, bringing the pests actually to the flower and keeping them off your vegetable. So not only do they add a really nice pop of color, I love these calendulas, they're edible, and the pests also help keep the pests away. So you really can't go wrong with planting those in your garden. So the Chill Zone garden bed here is looking really, really fine, if I do say so myself. Loving the green pop of the romaine lettuce. Love this stuff. And parsley does great in cool weather as well. Parsley and cilantro are great cool weather herbs. I think parsley is one of the most underrated herbs out there. It has a fantastic flavor, and I absolutely love putting it in our salads. Try it and let me know what you think about it too. And here we've got some peppers that are still hanging on for the winter time, jalapenos. So I'll probably be pruning those back, and then they'll burst into life again once the weather gets warm enough. It is really fun to have lots of different varieties of greens in the winter time, and especially the perennial ones, like the red vein sorrel, and the chard pretty much grows year-round here in Southern California. But under the trellis here, I planted some quick-growing arugula. Wanted a fast crop here. And one of the things that's always a problem is the birds come and pick the seeds out. So I like to cover it with tulle, this netting type of fabric. You might have seen me use it and talk about it in a lot of my videos. Super inexpensive. You got to try it if you haven't. It's a real game changer to protect your little seedlings from getting eaten by the birds. So you just pop it over your garden bed, put a couple bricks or whatever to weight it down, and it really helps your seedlings pop up and grow much better without getting eaten. Our garden gets lots of shade in the winter time, and this spot here is definitely the sunniest spot. So I always plant my favorites in the fountain planter. You guessed it, the greens. Lots of different flavors, colors, and textures here. We've got the ruffly endive, the romaine, the prize head, and little arugula popping up behind here. So lots of different varieties. One thing that's always a problem, and it's super frustrating, is we have lots of earwigs and pill bugs almost year round. So one thing I always do as I plant is I'm sprinkling down Monterey Lawn and Garden's Sluggo Plus. Now this stuff is super easy to apply. Just sprinkle it around the plants. And what it is, it's a bait. It covers the earwigs, the pill bugs, also snails and slugs if they happen to come around. So they're attracted to the bait, and then they go somewhere else to die. So you're not going to see a ton of dead bugs in your garden, which is kind of nice. And Monterey Lawn and Garden, we're super excited to announce, is one of our new brand partners this year. And I really like what I see, and I know you're gonna love it too. So head to their website, montereylawngarden.com. They're offering a 20% discount for CaliKim viewers. Use the code CaliKim20. They've got a great range of organic products, and I know you're really gonna love it. Front of the fountain planter doing really well. No more bugs on my lettuce. Now over here around the side, the peppers are starting to look a little bit rough, but you know what? Doesn't bother me at all because I still have peppers in January, so super excited about that. We've been harvesting them for our salads, to put in our omelets, and there's even a couple little new ones coming on, which is pretty cool. Now, for peppers, they do overwinter pretty well, especially if you live in a frost-free climate. But even in the colder zones, what you can do is just cut your peppers back. You want to leave about a 6-inch stem or so and cut them back right about here. Mulch them heavily, especially in cold climates, and just hang in there as the weather gets warm. Most of the time, they're going to start leafing out, and you'll be that much ahead on your pepper harvest for the springtime. Now, colder northern gardeners may want to dig them up, put them in a container, bring them inside, and then pop them outdoors once the weather warms up. But all in all, very happy to have some peppers right now. The blackberries, we relocated them for our phase 2 deck expansion. They're doing well, dormant now for the winter, but excited to see how they branch out in their new home come spring. Kale and greens growing here, starting to get more sun, so they're really starting to take off. But it's time to thin them out so they get bigger. Now I am really excited to show you this view of the deck for the very first time on video. And you can see it's still a work in progress. We've got some skirting to finish, some gravel to lay down. But do you remember what used to be right here? If you mentioned blackberries, you're absolutely right. Like I mentioned, we moved them over to the other side, but we're really loving the finished look this gives the garden, and what a view we're enjoying from up above. Let's talk about the hill here. Now it's almost completely shaded in the winter time, so things grow very, very slowly. So I have planted peas on all the trellises maybe a month or so ago, and as the days get longer, they're gonna start popping up. Now, one thing I always like to do in the wintertime is leave some of the flowers in, the summertime flowers in for the birds. We really enjoy looking out our kitchen window and seeing the birds enjoying the little sunflower heads, even the dahlia seeds, and just kind of sitting on top and giving them some food for the winter time is always really fun and rewarding. But one thing that's great to see in the winter is the nasturtiums really start to pop. They're all edible, like I said, and normally come springtime, this will be a wide swath of orange and yellow flowers, so really, really fun. Now in here in the nasturtiums, we've got some of the purple rosy pak choi. So just a beautiful green. One of my favorite ways to eat it is sauteed very lightly in scrambled eggs, and it's really a gorgeous cool weather green. If you've never grown it, I highly, highly recommend it. And a little tip on the chard here. This chard plant has been in here for several years. So if it starts looking really bad, don't pull it out, prune it back. And would you look here, there's some brand new growth coming out from the stem, even though the stem is super thick and tough. The new greens are very tender and we absolutely love eating them. Growing above rosy pak choi and the red chard are hanging baskets. I love my hanging baskets, and everything in here is edible, down to the colorful pansies, the lettuce starting to spill over the edge, spinach, one of my all-time favorite greens. And one thing we love is just seeing the dash of color from the deck. And these are lined with the Smart Pots No Cocoa liners, which are really nice, sturdy liner for your hanging baskets, and a great way to grow food in a very small space. Although there's not near as much growing in the January garden as in the June garden, we're loving the cooler weather, loving getting some projects done, and really enjoying the variety of greens we have in the garden. But also looking forward to the warmer summer weather when the garden is colorful and vibrant and bursting back into life again. We really appreciate you hanging out with us here, wandering around for our January garden tour. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments which part you enjoyed the most, and if you're growing anything in your garden, I want to hear about that too. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next video.